Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a budget PC build. If you want to find all the parts and check them out yourself, it'll be in the description. This does not include shipping or an operating system, so let's get into this. Okay, so the first part of our build is going to be the CPU, which is the FX 6300. It has 6 cores and it is running at 3.5 gigahertz. That is very good for gaming, especially since most modern games require at least a quad core now. This has 6 cores, which will be able to go a little bit further, especially since games are now taking advantage of the multi-core threads, unlike they used to. So this is a really worth your money purchase. Okay, now moving on to the second part of our build, that is a R9 270X. It has 2 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. Not much else to say about this card. This card will run you about $150 right now. It is extremely worth the purchase. It can play Witcher 3 at okay resolution, not quite 1080p with majority of settings on high. However, there are some settings you will have to turn down. And this will probably game in the future pretty well, but you'll still have to turn down the settings. Now going into the third part of our build is the motherboard. I chose the Gigabyte GA78 LMT USB3 Micro ATX motherboard. This motherboard, it supports the AMD FX 6300. It can also support up to the 8300. The next generation of processors that come out, if they run off of the same architecture, this motherboard will also support them. This motherboard isn't the best for overclocking, however, I think it is worth the buy. It also costs about $56 on the market right now.
Commander of the 7th Cavalry.
That man did not lead the 7th.
Now moving on to the RAM, I chose the ADATA XPG version 1, which is, and it's 8 gigabytes of RAM. It is DDR3 running at 1600 megahertz. It's 2 4 gigabyte sticks instead of one 8 gigabyte stick if you want to go that way. However, I have a more expensive version of the ADATA RAM, but the thing is it's not as fast because I bought it at a different time. But I can personally say that ADATA is a very reliable company. I mean, you shouldn't even have to ask me for that, but it runs at about $54 right now. And these 8 gigabytes, it's going to really help you, especially since probably towards the end of the console generation, which is the Xbox One and PS4 right now, they have 8 gigabytes of RAM, 8 gigabytes of RAM in the computer will do work with
I've got ammo! Here!
Nice.
Moving on to the power supply, I chose the AVGA 500 watt AG Plus certified power supply. This build, when you get, like, if you're at like 100% load on everything, it would probably run at about, I don't know, 380, which I'm pretty sure is a good point to sit at, especially since you're not quite almost at 100% of your PSU. If you were at 100, it'd be dangerous. So the one thing though is, if you do want to upgrade this, like even at a hard drive, you're going to want to upgrade this first, but this is a cheap component, so you can't expect much out of it.
Feel better already.
Now we are moving on to the hard drive, which I chose as the Hitachi Desk Star. It has 1 gigabyte of storage. It is a 7200 RPM drive. It is an internal hard drive. At this price point, an SSD isn't going to give you a whole lot of storage. You can go for that if you want insane load times or something, but assuming since your gaming games are now like what, 50 gigabytes, 30 gigabytes, they're way up there, so this 1 terabyte might not even last you that long, and so an SSD just doesn't seem practical in my opinion. Now we're moving on to the last part of the build, which is the case, which is also the cheapest part of this build, which is the Heck Vigilance Micro ATX Mini Tower case. I personally don't own this case. I own a NZXT Source 210, but however that was about $13 more, which would have actually sent this build over the limit. But
What happened
This case said that it could fit this our motherboard, which is a micro ATX, and this is a micro ATX, not ours. So I would assume it would fit. If you want to look more into it, feel free to, but this is about $30. Yeah. So that wraps up our build. This build will run you about $460 in all, not including shipping or an operating system. These websites either have free or variable shipping, depending on what you choose. This computer though will run every game at about high to medium settings, depending on what resolution you play on. If you play on 1080p, probably medium to low. 4K, I don't think this computer is meant for it. Maybe a couple games, but I don't think it's meant for it, so I wouldn't recommend it. These are parts though that were picked based on my opinion and experiences, so take them with a grain of salt. You know, always feel free for you to try to switch your parts, just make sure they're compatible when you do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe.